New mental, behavioral and neurodevelopmental disorders in the ICD-11. Based on a review of the available evidence on scientific validity, and a consideration of clinical utility and global applicability, a number of new disorders have been added to the ICD-11 chapter on mental, behavioral and neurodevelopmental disorders. These disorders include 1. Catatonia. 2. Bipolar type 2 disorder. 3. Body dysmorphic disorder. 4. Olfactory reference disorder. 5. Hoarding disorder. 6. Excoriation disorder. 7. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder. 8. Prolonged grief disorder. 9. Binge eating disorder. 10. Avoidant or restrictive food intake disorder. 11. Body integrity dysphoria. 12. Gaming disorder. 13. Compulsive sexual behavior disorder. 14. Intermittent explosive disorder. 15. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder. We will discuss few disorders here and remaining in separate sections each disorder in detail. 6b22, Olfactory reference disorder. Olfactory reference disorder is included in the ICD-11 obsessive compulsive or related disorders, OCRD, grouping, as it shares phenomenological similarities with other disorders in this grouping with respect to the presence of persistent intrusive preoccupations and associated repetitive behaviors. Diagnostic requirements of olfactory reference disorder. 1. Persistent preoccupation about emitting a foul or offensive body odor or breath, i.e., halitosis, that is either unnoticeable or slightly noticeable to others such that the individual's concerns are markedly disproportionate to the smell, if any is perceptible. Excessive self-consciousness about the perceived odor, often including ideas of self-reference, i.e., the conviction that people are taking notice, judging, or talking about the odor. 3. The preoccupation or self-consciousness is accompanied by any of the following. Repetitive and excessive behaviors, such as repeatedly checking for body odor or checking the perceived source of the smell, for example, clothing, or repeatedly seeking reassurance. Excessive attempts to camouflage, alter, or prevent the perceived odor, for example, using perfume or deodorant, repetitive bathing, brushing teeth, or changing clothing, avoidance of certain foods. Marked avoidance of social or other situations or stimuli that increase distress about the perceived foul or offensive odor, for example, public transportation or other situations of close proximity to other people. 4. The symptoms are not a manifestation of another medical condition, and are not due to the effects of a substance or medication on the central nervous system, including withdrawal effects. The symptoms result in significant distress or significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. If functioning is maintained, it is only through significant additional effort. Additional clinical features. The diagnosis of olfactory reference disorder partly depends on determining whether there is evidence of the odor reported by the individual. 1. A variety of other medical and dental conditions can be associated with unpleasant odors, for example, periodontal disease, trimethylaminuria, and these underlying causes should be ruled out, particularly if the odor is detectable even if slight. However, the perceived odor may vary in intensity or the individual may be unable or unwilling to remove camouflaging odors, for example, perfume, which may make it difficult to judge how noticeable the odor is. In such cases, corroborative evidence may be required from a knowledgeable informant or physician, who has conducted a physical examination of the individual. 6b24, Hoarding Disorder, Obsessive Compulsive or Related Disorders, OCRD. although hoarding behaviors may be exhibited as a part of a broad range of mental and behavioral disorders and other conditions. For example, obsessive-compulsive disorder, depressive disorders, schizophrenia, dementia, autism spectrum disorders and Prader-Willi syndrome, there is sufficient evidence supporting hoarding disorder as a separate and unique disorder. Individuals affected by hoarding disorder are underrecognized and undertreated, which argues from a public health perspective for its inclusion in the ICD-11. Diagnostic requirements of hoarding disorder. 1. Accumulation of possessions that results in living spaces becoming cluttered to the point that their use or safety is compromised. Note, if living areas are uncluttered, this is only due to the intervention of third parties, for example, family members, cleaners, or authorities. Accumulation occurs due to both repetitive urges or behaviors related to amassing items, which may be passive, for example, accumulation of incoming flyers or mail, or active, for example, excessive acquisition of free, purchased, or stolen items. Difficulty discarding possessions due to a perceived need to save items and distress associated with discarding them. 2. The symptoms result in significant distress or significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational or other important areas of functioning. Additional clinical features. 1. Assessment for the diagnosis of hoarding disorder may require obtaining additional information beyond self-reports, such as reports from collateral informants or visual inspection of clutter in the home. 2. Generally, items are hoarded because of their emotional significance, for example, association with a significant event, person, place or time, instrumental characteristics, for example, perceived usefulness, or intrinsic value, for example, perceived aesthetic qualities. 3. Individuals with hoarding disorder may be unable to find important items, for example, bills, tax forms, circulate easily inside their home, or even exit their home in the event of an emergency. Ability to prepare food, use sinks or home appliances, for example, refrigerator, stove, or washing machine, or furniture, for example, sofas, chairs, beds, tables, may also be compromised. 4. Individuals with hoarding disorder may experience a range of chronic medical problems, such as obesity, and are exposed to various environmental risks often caused by their hoarding behavior, including fire hazards, injuries from falling, contamination by rotting perishable foods, and allergies from contact with dust, pollen and bacteria. 6b25.1 Excoriation disorder. A new diagnostic subgrouping, body-focused repetitive behavior disorders, has been added to the OCRD grouping. It includes trichotillomania, which was included in the grouping of habit and impulse disorders in ICD-10, and a new condition, excoriation disorder, also known as skin picking disorder. Their inclusion in the OCRD grouping is based on shared phenomenology, patterns of familial aggregation, and putative etiological mechanisms with other disorders in this grouping. Diagnostic requirements of excoriation disorder. 1. Recurrent picking of one's skin. 2. Unsuccessful attempts to stop or decrease skin picking. 3. Significant skin lesions resulting from picking behavior. 4. The symptoms result in significant distress or significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational or other important areas of functioning. Additional clinical features. Trichotillomania is a common comorbid condition in individuals with excoriation disorder. Furthermore, excoriation, skin picking, disorder commonly co-occurs with depressive and anxiety symptoms, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and other body-focused repetitive behaviors, for example, nail biting. The most commonly picked sites are the face, arms and hands, but many individuals pick from multiple body sites. Individuals may pick at healthy skin, at minor skin irregularities, at lesions such as pimples or calluses, or at scabs from previous picking. Most individuals pick with their fingernails, although a substantial minority use tweezers, knives, or other objects. Please subscribe and comment.